Tom walks through the sterile, white corridor of the hospital, each step echoing through the silence. He feels the heavy weight of the world on his shoulders as his hand grips the door handle. Stepping into the hospital room, he freezes. There, lying motionless on the bed, is his wife, the love of his life, her once vibrant spirit now dimmed by illness. The doctor's gaze is solemn, and before Tom can speak, the doctor quietly utters the words that shatter his heart. "I'm sorry. There's nothing more we can do." The room feels like it's closing in on him. His chest tightens, and tears well up in his eyes. The air is thick with the unbearable weight of finality. The man who once believed in the power of love and miracles is now faced with the crushing reality of loss. Tom stumbles out of the hospital room, his body moving on autopilot, his mind a whirlwind of disbelief and confusion. The hallway stretches ahead of him like an endless void, each step more laborious than the last. The sterile white walls, the fluorescent lights overhead, and the faint sounds of footsteps from passing doctors only amplify the deafening silence within him. His world has turned upside down. He reaches out instinctively to steady himself on the railing of the hallway, but the metal feels cold, foreign, just like everything else now. As he walks, the faces of the passing nurses and doctors blur past him. They move with purpose, while he feels like he's frozen in place, caught in a nightmare he can't escape. His heart races, the pain of what he's just lost gnawing at him, threatening to overtake him. For the first time, he realizes the truth he never wanted to admit: he is utterly alone. Tom's legs feel like lead, each step dragging him further into the depths of despair. As he exits the hospital building and steps into the cold air, the world around him feels like it's in sharp contrast to his internal chaos. The world moves on unaffected by his grief, while he stands there feeling as though swallowed by a void. The sky above is overcast, the clouds hanging low like an oppressive weight. His breath catches in his throat as the first tears begin to fall, cold and uncontrolled. He can't remember the last time he cried. Maybe it was too long ago. He stares at the pavement, unsure of where to go or what to do next. His mind races, but all thoughts seem jumbled. In the silence of the parking lot, the harsh reality settles in. His wife is gone. And with her, a part of himself has been torn away. Tom stumbles to his car, his body moving in a haze. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the keys, his fingers shaking as he presses the button to unlock the door. The sound of the car's door clicking open seems distant, like it's coming from another world. When he sits in the driver's seat, the car's interior feels like a cocoon of emptiness. He grips the steering wheel, staring blankly at the windshield, his hands numb. His mind is blank, but the ache in his chest is undeniable. The emptiness consumes him. The pain is visceral, crushing, yet there's no escape. He wants to scream, to shout at the injustice of it all, but he's too exhausted. Tom starts the car, the engine's hum filling the silence, but it doesn't bring him any comfort. The world is still turning, but for him, it feels as if time has stopped. As Tom drives, his thoughts swirl in a haze, the hum of the car and the rhythm of the rain on the windshield providing little solace. He turns the corner, his childhood home coming into view. It looks the same as it always has, standing tall and sturdy against the storm. But to Tom, it's no longer a place of warmth or comfort. It's a monument to the life he's lost. He pulls into the driveway, his heart sinking further with each passing second. The house is too quiet, too still. His steps feel heavy as he walks toward the door. He pauses before turning the knob, uncertain whether he even belongs there anymore. The reality of his situation presses down on him. His wife is gone, and the house that was once filled with love now feels like a hollow shell. Days pass since the hospital, but Tom's life remains frozen in a state of numbness. His apartment, once a place of comfort, now feels like a cold shell. The walls seem to close in on him, their starkness reflecting the emptiness inside him. Each morning he wakes up, makes coffee, and stares at the blank television screen, waiting for something, anything to make him feel alive again. The air feels heavy with memories, and the absence of his wife echoes through every room. He can't escape the silence. No matter how hard he tries, nothing fills the space where her laughter once lived. He wants to move on, to find a way to breathe again, but it feels impossible. He clings to her memory like a lifeline, yet the more he holds on, the more he drowns in the overwhelming weight of loss. Tom's phone rings, breaking the silence, and he glances at the screen. It's Chris, his best friend. He hesitates before answering, feeling the weight of the moment. "Tom, you can't keep shutting yourself off," Chris says on the other end. "We're all worried about you." Tom doesn't reply right away. The words feel distant, like they belong to someone else. His mind is too foggy to process the concern in Chris' voice. Chris continues, "Come out with me tonight? Let's grab a drink or something. It's been too long." Tom knows he should say yes, knows he should reach out for the first time since the funeral, but the thought of leaving the house, stepping into a world that no longer feels like his, overwhelms him. "I'll think about it," he mutters, knowing that it's a lie. He's not ready. Later that day, Tom's apartment feels even emptier. He paces, looking at the old photographs on the wall, remembering better days when he and his wife were laughing in the sunlight. The sound of her voice seems so distant now, like a dream he can't quite recall. He can't shake the image of her face in that hospital room. It haunts him, suffocates him. He walks over to the window, pulling back the blinds, only to be greeted by the sight of an indifferent city street. People rush by, lost in their own lives. The world keeps moving forward, but Tom feels like he's stuck in place, sinking deeper into the quicksand of grief. He doesn't know how to let go. He doesn't even know where to start. All he can do is watch the world move on while he stands still, lost in the memories of what was and what will never be again. That evening, Tom forces himself to pick up the phone again, dial Chris' number. It rings, once, twice. "Hello?" Chris' voice sounds more hopeful than Tom feels. Tom takes a deep breath. "All right, I'll come. Just a drink," he says, the words tasting foreign in his mouth. He stands in front of the mirror, trying to prepare himself for the outside world, but the reflection staring back at him feels like someone else. His hair is disheveled, his eyes dark from sleepless nights, but he pulls on his jacket and walks out the door. As he steps into the cool night air, the weight of the world seems a little less oppressive. The city hums around him, and for the first time in days, he feels the tiniest glimmer of hope. It's not much, but it's something. As Tom walks into the dimly lit bar, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses fill the air, but it all feels so foreign to him. Chris waves from the corner booth, his face lighting up when he sees Tom. "Glad you made it," he says, motioning for him to sit. Tom slides into the booth, but the conversation feels distant, as if he's watching from outside his own body. The words float by, Chris asking about work, the weather, casual things, but Tom feels like he's suffocating in the small talk. He forces a smile, nodding occasionally, but it's clear he's not fully present. Despite the presence of others, the loneliness still gnaws at him. He's physically there, but emotionally, he's somewhere else entirely. Tom's days are slipping away in a haze. The emptiness of his apartment feels suffocating. Each morning, he wakes to an empty bed, his mind consumed with thoughts of his wife. Memories flood his mind, her laugh, the way she'd always greet him when he walked in the door. But now, there's nothing but silence. The weight of this loss presses down on him like a crushing stone. He tries to work, to distract himself, but even the simplest tasks seem impossible. His hands shake as he holds the coffee cup, the liquid sloshing over the edge. Nothing feels real anymore. He can't escape the sorrow that gnaws at him. Each passing hour feels like a step further into a darkness he's not sure he can return from. A knock on the door pulls Tom from his thoughts. It's Sarah, his wife's best friend. She's holding a small box, and her face is somber. "I didn't know where else to go," she says softly, stepping inside. Tom stands frozen, unsure of what to say. Sarah was always kind, always there for his wife, but now her presence feels like another reminder of what he's lost. She places the box on the table and sits across from him. "This was hers," Sarah says quietly. The words cut through the stillness of the room. He watches as she opens the box, revealing an old photo album. Memories spill out, happy moments frozen in time, now nothing more than relics of a life he can no longer touch. Tom picks up the photo, his fingers lingering on the image. It's a picture of his wife and him, taken at a family gathering. The smile on her face is so vivid, so full of life. But that smile feels like a cruel joke now. As he traces the edges of the photograph, the memories flood back, the way she held him close, the warmth of her embrace. His heart aches as the photos continue to remind him of what he's lost. He looks at Sarah, but she's not meeting his gaze. She's staring at the floor, her eyes filled with tears. "I know it's hard," Sarah says softly, "but she wouldn't want you to live like this." The words pierce through him like a knife. She's right, but the pain is too much to bear. Later, Tom finds himself wandering aimlessly through the city, the weight of the conversation with Sarah still hanging over him. He walks through the park, his eyes barely registering the beauty of the world around him. The trees are in full bloom, their leaves swaying in the breeze, but all Tom can see is his own pain. He feels disconnected from everything, as though he's moving through the motions of life, but not truly living. He sees families enjoying the sunshine, couples walking hand in hand, and it only serves to deepen his sorrow. A child's laughter echoes in the distance, but it only reminds him of the emptiness he feels. He can't seem to escape the grief that holds him in its grip, dragging him further into despair with each passing moment. That evening, Tom stands at his kitchen window, looking out at the city lights. He feels like an outsider in his own life, disconnected from everything and everyone. He doesn't know what to do anymore. A part of him wants to keep moving forward, to push through the pain, but another part of him is paralyzed by it. The pain is a constant companion, always there, lurking just beneath the surface. He can't escape it, and he's not sure he even wants to. His phone rings again. This time it's Chris. "Tom, where are you? We need to talk." Tom doesn't respond. The ringing fades into the background as he gazes out at the city, wondering if the ache will ever stop, if the emptiness will ever be filled. The next day, Tom receives an unexpected visit from Sarah. She stands in the doorway, looking hesitant, holding a small envelope in her hand. "I didn't know how to tell you this," she begins, her voice trembling. Tom stands still, uncertainty clouding his face. "What is it, Sarah?" he asks, his tone sharp, bracing for more bad news. She steps inside and hands him the envelope. "It's from her," Sarah says, her eyes unable to meet his. The words hang heavy in the air as Tom takes the envelope from her hands. His heart beats faster, his mind racing as he rips it open. Inside he finds a letter, one his wife wrote before her death. The shock is palpable, and Tom's hands tremble as he unfolds it. His wife had been hiding something from him, something he's only now beginning to understand. Tom stares at the letter in his hands, but his mind is spinning. "What did she want me to know?" he whispers almost to himself. His heart pounds as he unfolds the letter, the words on the page blurring through his tears. The letter reveals a truth that Tom wasn't prepared for. His wife had been struggling with an illness long before it was discovered. She had kept it hidden from him, from everyone. It wasn't just her physical health that had deteriorated. She had been grappling with an emotional burden, one she never shared. She had known she was dying, and yet she chose to protect him from the pain. Tom feels a wave of guilt wash over him. How could he not have known? How could he not have seen the signs? The realization that she had carried this burden alone tears at him. The love they shared feels tainted, and Tom doesn't know how to process the flood of emotions overwhelming him. Tom paces back and forth, the letter still clutched in his hand. His mind races with questions. Why didn't she tell him? Why did she feel the need to protect him from this? The walls feel as if they're closing in, and he can't breathe. His grief is no longer just about losing her. It's about everything he didn't know. About the life they shared that was, in some ways, a lie. He thought he knew her completely, but now he's left with 1,000 unknowns. He feels like he's been living in a fog, unaware of the reality that was unfolding right before his eyes. The weight of the secret she carried has crushed him, and he wonders if he'll ever be able to forgive her for keeping it from him. The anger is consuming, but so is the sadness. It's all he can feel now. The pain in Tom's chest is unbearable, but then something shifts. He remembers the moments he had with her, the love they shared, and the tenderness they offered one another. The letter may have revealed a painful truth, but it also reminded him of the depth of her care for him. She protected him in the only way she knew how, and though it's hard to understand, Tom begins to realize that her love for him never wavered. The burden of guilt is still heavy, but a small flicker of understanding begins to emerge in his heart. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She was trying to spare him from the same suffering she faced. Tom's anger turns inward, replaced by a quiet acceptance. He can't change the past, but perhaps he can find a way to forgive her. Forgiving her means forgiving himself too. The next day Tom walks to the park, the letter folded in his jacket pocket. The air is crisp, and the sun breaks through the clouds, casting golden light across the path ahead. He feels lighter, as though a weight has been lifted, but the grief still lingers. He knows the road ahead won't be easy. He's still broken, still haunted by the loss of his wife. But he has come to terms with one thing: he can move forward. The pain won't disappear, but it no longer has the power to consume him. He lets the fresh air fill his lungs as he walks, a quiet strength building within him. For the first time in months, he feels a small but significant sense of peace. The world is still harsh, but Tom realizes that he is still capable of living in it. The days have passed since Tom's walk in the park, but the weight of his grief still lingers. His healing has been slow, like the faint light of dawn breaking through a long, dark night. The raw pain has settled into a dull ache, and though the memories of his wife remain ever present, Tom finds himself at a crossroads. He realizes he's been carrying her loss like a heavy burden, but it's time to let go. He can't hold on to the past forever. The anger and guilt still echo in his chest, but now, for the first time, there's space to breathe. Tom stands in front of her grave, the finality of her absence stark. "I'm ready to let go," he whispers, the words barely audible. His tears are quiet now, a release of the tension that's held him hostage for so long. The moment feels like a slow exhale, a shift from mourning to a quieter kind of acceptance. After standing in silence for what feels like an eternity, Tom turns to leave, his steps slower than before. He knows the journey isn't over, but something inside him has shifted. As he walks away, his mind drifts to memories, but they no longer sting the same way. The grief is still there, but it's no longer a suffocating force. He realizes he's been holding on to her memory as if it were a lifeline, but now he understands that she wouldn't want him to be trapped in the past. Live, she had always told him. And now, for the first time, he feels like he can try. Walking away from the grave, Tom feels the quiet stirrings of hope, a small but undeniable sense that there's still life to be lived, even in the absence of the person who once filled it with light. Tom walks down the city streets, the world around him bustling with life. The noise of traffic, the chatter of people, and the bright lights of the city feel different now. He's not just a passive observer anymore, he's a part of it. The loss of his wife still weighs on him, but as he walks through the streets, he realizes that he's ready to start living again. He passes a cafe where a couple is laughing, and for the first time in months, he doesn't feel anger or jealousy. He just feels like he's finally re-entered the world. The weight of grief hasn't disappeared, but it no longer dominates his existence. Tom knows it won't be easy, but he feels a quiet sense of peace within himself. Life, with all its messiness and unpredictability, is something he's ready to embrace again. Later that evening, Tom sits at a small cafe, nursing a cup of coffee. The chair across from him is empty, but it no longer feels like a reminder of what he's lost. Instead, it feels like an invitation. He looks around at the people talking, laughing, sharing small moments that are both fleeting and eternal. His phone buzzes with a message from Chris. "You good, man? Let's catch up soon." Tom smiles faintly, He's not sure if he's ready to fully embrace life again, but he knows he doesn't want to be alone in it anymore. For the first time, he feels the stirrings of connection, of the possibility of finding new relationships, new meaning in the world he's been living in. It won't be easy, and there will be days when the weight of the past feels heavy again. But, in this moment, Tom knows he's taking the first steps toward healing. As Tom walks home that evening, the city feels different. The lights shine brighter, the sounds more familiar, and for the first time in months, he feels a quiet sense of peace settle within him. The grief is still there, but it no longer defines him. He's learning how to live with it, to allow it to be a part of his journey without letting it control him. Tom's steps are slower, more deliberate now, as if he's finally found a rhythm that suits him. The night air feels fresh, and for the first time in a long time, he's not afraid to breathe. He's ready to face whatever comes next, knowing that he's not alone. He carries his wife's memory with him, but he's also ready to make new memories, to live in a way she would have wanted him to. Tom sits in his new apartment, the space still feeling unfamiliar, yet somehow less oppressive than it did before. He has made it his own, filling it with pieces of himself rather than the memory of a life he once had. It's quiet here, the kind of silence that no longer feels heavy. Tom's hand rests on the edge of the table, his gaze distant as he watches the rain tap against the window. It's been months since he felt the weight of grief pressing down on him so tightly. Now, the sorrow still lingers, but it no longer has the power to consume him. He's found a rhythm in this new life, one where grief and hope coexist. It's not perfect, but it's enough. He no longer feels lost in the dark. He's learned to live with the darkness, even to embrace it. Later that evening, Tom meets Chris at a local cafe. It's been a long time since they've really talked. The conversation is light at first, a bit awkward, but as the evening goes on, something shifts. Tom finds himself laughing again, a real, full laugh that feels like it comes from deep within. Chris watches him with a soft smile, glad to see his friend beginning to find himself again. They talk about the past, but more importantly, they talk about the future. Tom realizes that while the past will always be a part of him, it doesn't have to define him. He's ready to make new memories, to build a life outside of grief. As Tom walks back home, the evening air feels refreshing, the cool breeze filling his lungs. He no longer feels like an outsider in his own life. The world around him doesn't seem as indifferent as it once did. He's learning to appreciate the small things again, the sound of leaves rustling in the trees, the quiet hum of the city at night. It's not perfect, but it's real. He knows he will still have tough days, moments when the grief resurfaces. But now, he knows how to handle it, how to live with it. He's not trying to outrun the past anymore. Instead, he's walking alongside it, accepting it as part of who he is. And that, in itself, feels like a victory. A few days later, Tom visits his wife's grave once more. It's a brief visit, a quiet moment of reflection. He stands before the gravestone, the weight of loss still there, but lighter than it has been in so long. He places a single flower on the grave, a small act of love and remembrance. "I'm okay," he whispers, though he's not sure if it's meant for her or for himself. For the first time, he feels like he can say it, and mean it. The grief will never fully leave him, but he's learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means moving forward, while carrying the memory of those we love. That night, as Tom settles into bed, he feels a sense of peace he hasn't known in years. The memories of his wife are still vivid, but now, they no longer bring him pain. Instead, they are a source of strength. He knows that he will carry her with him for the rest of his life, but he no longer feels weighed down by the loss. He closes his eyes, the quiet rhythm of his breath calming his mind. He doesn't know what tomorrow will bring, but for the first time in a long time, he feels ready to face it. The journey of healing is never linear, but Tom knows he's on the right path. And that's enough for now. It's been a year since Tom lost his wife, and yet her presence still lingers in the spaces they once shared. His life has transformed in ways he never expected. He's rebuilt himself slowly, like a painter working on a canvas that has been torn and worn. It's not perfect, but it's his. He's found a way to carry on, not in spite of his grief, but with it. The city, The life he used to feel so disconnected from, now feels like a part of him. He walks down familiar streets with a new sense of peace, a quiet understanding that life goes on, whether we're ready or not. The love they shared still lives within him, like a heartbeat that echoes through every step. Tom knows that he will never forget, but he's learned that there's beauty in living despite the pain. It's taken time, but now he's able to smile at the future again. Tom finds himself in the park, where he once walked in silence, weighed down by grief. Now he sits on a bench, watching children play, couples walk hand in hand, and the world continue in its beautiful, chaotic rhythm. He smiles as a group of children run past him, their laughter filling the air like music. He feels the stillness in his heart, but it's no longer one of emptiness. It's a stillness born of acceptance. Tom doesn't need to look back anymore. The past is a part of him, woven into the fabric of who he is, but it no longer controls him. He's free to move forward. And for the first time, he's excited to see where the path leads. Later that day, Tom meets Chris again. They sit at a cafe, the same one where they talked months ago. The atmosphere is different now, lighter, more hopeful. "You're looking good, man," Chris says with a grin, and Tom laughs, the sound more natural than it's been in a long time. They talk about everything and nothing. Tom shares stories of his new adventures, of the steps he's taking to build a life on his own terms. Chris listens, proud of how far his friend has come. There are no more questions about the past, no more silences filled with grief. It's just the two of them, enjoying each other's company, knowing that the future is full of possibilities. As the evening draws near, Tom takes a walk alone, reflecting on how much has changed. His steps are light now, no longer burdened by the weight of the past. He passes familiar streets, but everything feels new. There's a quiet hope in his heart, a belief that life, in all its uncertainty, is still worth living. The pain he once carried is now a quiet whisper, a part of him that's no longer overwhelming. He's no longer afraid of what the future holds. In fact, he welcomes it. With each step, he knows he's creating new memories, ones that will be filled with joy and fulfillment. Tom looks up at the sky, the stars just beginning to appear. There's a gentle peace in the air, and for the first time in a long time, Tom is at peace with himself. Tom stands at the edge of the park once more, the place that once symbolized his sorrow. Now, it feels like a place of renewal. He watches the sunset, the sky painted in shades of orange and pink, the world settling into quiet beauty. His phone buzzes with a message from Chris. "Ready for that drink?" Tom smiles and types a quick reply. "I'll be there." He takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the last year lift off his shoulders. His heart is lighter, filled with both the wisdom of the past and the excitement for the future. For the first time, Tom realizes that grief is not something to be defeated. It's something to be lived with, to be carried alongside joy. And in this moment, he's ready to live fully again.